everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now by Disney, or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it. Legends. Today I have for you issues 42, I believe, to issue 50. Overall, what did I think of the Legacy series? Certainly, didn't exceed my expectations because I didn't know what to expect, but definitely kept me interested. This series, most of its issues, not all of them, but most of the issues are drawn exceptionally well. The story is wonderful. The characters are wonderful. I love this different Sith and how that all works, but yet, as always, Sith fall into old traps. Wirelock being a perfect example of that. And then, all the stuff with Morgan Cord, and all the stuff with Cade, and how unique of a character he is. He for every argument that the Grey Jedi concept isn't a thing, I think more than anything, Cade would embody that. Now, he definitely, I think, by the end of this comic series, leans more light side, even if he won't admit it. But at the same time, he's doing stuff that a lot of people are like, that's dark. And yet he doesn't succumb. He doesn't fall. We saw with the Vector storyline being concluded, with that guy that was, this light side user was resisting the temptations of this ancient Sith Lord, but yet could not defeat him. She could only contain him within her to stop it from spreading. And you would think, well, Cade's always been dipping, kind of near the dark side. So with this guy in him, it's going to cause a whole thing. But it doesn't. He doesn't succumb. In fact, he obliterates and annihilates this ancient evil. He's been waiting for that. The Force has been waiting for this moment for when Cade would be around to get rid of this guy. And I know that was a previous thing, but we see again with like stuff that goes on with the stuff I'll talk about in here, where he's just so different. And again, we'll get to it when we get to it, but sort of the same thing with Bastila and Revan. Love conquers. Love is not inherently dark side. You can love someone, have attachment, but not have it be your downfall. I mean, we've seen that time and time again with Luke Skywalker and stuff, because he has a family and everything. But it was just, oh man, this series is so good. And though I was kind of disappointed because by the time I get to the Vector storyline, if you have not read the previous issues, why are you watching this video? You should stop now. But when Darth Krayt, died, I knew he wasn't dead, but the lack of his presence for the last bit of Legacy was a bit disappointing because I really enjoyed his character. I thought he was so interesting and his philosophy was different, and I just wanted to see more of him, which I'm sure these last 6 issues in Legacy War will get, but I just would have enjoyed to see more of him. So hopefully that'll be rectified with the next 6 issues. But anyway, overall, this entire series has been fantastic. I'm excited for Legacy War, and I'm definitely glad I read it. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that, everything that I've read post Return of the Jedi that's in the Legends continuity, and no hate. If you like the new Disney stuff, all the power to you. That's the only mention of Disney I'm going to bring up. I personally wasn't. This has been a really satisfying continuation of the movies that I always enjoyed but never really loved. The movies were not the reason I'm a fan of Star Wars today. I always thought they were fun. That was it, There were other things I enjoyed more. But the EU, and I haven't even read everything yet, but with what I've read, it has made me love Star Wars. It is the expanding universe which has made me a true fan, not the movies. And I just think that's a testament to the writing, to the characters, to all the different authors who have wrote in Star Wars and yet made such a compelling universe. There's nothing else I've seen in my life that is quite like it in fiction, and I really enjoy it. Anyway, as to non-spoilers for each issue, it's a bit more difficult as things go on. Issue 42 is simply, as short term as I can put it, Alliance betrayal. There is stuff still going on with the Mon Calamari massacre, and there is someone on board the Alliance ship with Admiral Stasi who is trying to assassinate him. There's other stuff going on in the issue, but non-spoilers possible. That's about what's going on. Issue 43, Jazdin, however you say it, Wolf, his dream of what happened like just a little bit before the Battle of Ossus, like a year before, and they were trying to have the Vong terraform, which again I've already explained in detail, or not in detail, but I've already explained before how much I enjoy that whole concept of having a former villain trying to make him, be a more positive light among the populace, because of course, I imagine, it having an entire race that, annihilated like family and loved ones and millions of worlds and lives. It's really hard to, overcome that, because you're going to have a bias against those people. You're just going to. Even if the person you meet is the nicest person in the world, their whole people slaughtered your family, right? So it's just hard to get past that. And that's what the Jedi were trying to do, because they had turned their ways. These were the Vong who stayed with Zamanos Akat. They're changed people, they keep some of the same customs, but they're different. They're not as violent and stuff. And they were, the Jedi were trying to bring more unity in the galaxy by showing that, and it backfired because of the one Sith. But he has a dream about, stuff that happened in the past, and it leads into the present, because our characters are going to go to Wayland. That's going to be a good portion of a couple of these issues is on Wayland, which is interesting, because I love how Wayland, it was a planet all the way back in, Heirs of the Empire, and now it's being used here, and it's been, reduced to just destruction and mayhem due to the Vong terraforming thing going wrong, and so that was good. And then issue 44. It is I don't even know what I wrote here. I'm sorry. This is when my pen ran out of ink, and so I had to get another pen. Issue 44, though, for sure, was continuing off of events of the previous one. Sorry about that. I literally cannot tell what I wrote. Sorry. Issue, it doesn't matter. If you'll be reading it. It's good, I'm sure. Issue 45, Wayland and Azamar. So you have Cade and Sin and Blue. Poor Blue. We'll get into that in spoilers. And then Wolf, because he's heading to, Cade's former master, heading there because he sends him the Force. And then you have Rowan Fell, the Imperial Knights, the Jedi on Agamar, and Morgan Cord, and stuff happens there. And that's kind of two things going on in that one. Issue 46 is the conclusion to the Wayland, sort of plot that was going on. That's all I'll basically say there. Issue 47 is the Alliance attacks, because Daz, the planet, I believe that was the planet, everyone on there is dead, and then they also attack a Hutt planet, that has a spawn and everything. That planet gets destroyed, and so the Alliance decides to do an attack, as in non-spoiler terms as possible. Issue 48 shows that Cade is on a quest to find the guy that's been releasing these toxins on all these planets. Issue 49 and 50, I just kind of combine them together. The Imperial Knights, their whole sort of plot eventually leads to the Imperial Knights heading to Korriban, because Fell's daughter has been captured. And then meanwhile, you have Cade on Utopia, because that's where the Galactic Alliance is at. That's where the guy that's poisoning everyone is at, because he wants to kill um, uh, the Galactic Alliance leader. But by doing so, he'll also kill the whole planet. But he doesn't care because he's just pure evil. And so the Galactic Alliance is there. Cade is there because the Hutts discuss with him how they want him dead, even though he's already going to do that anyway. But he'll get paid for it now. So he heads to Utopia for the same thing. That's kind of where, without spoiling anything, things kind of close. So, and then we lead into Legacy of War, which is the 6-issue comic book series, which concludes this series. So, that is about it for non-spoilers. As I said, absolutely fantastic series. I enjoyed reading these comics. It was a different experience. I don't know how well I did with these, reviewing comics. I've only done that a couple times before, and they were really short videos. And I don't know, it's just a bit harder to discuss because there's less that you're able to talk about in a non-spoiler sort of way. And as a comic book, there's a lot of pictures and stuff, and just a bit more difficult to process information. Though I was critiqued regardless of how I reviewed my novels anyway, because I didn't give a play-by-play of the entire book. I tried to give a general summary and then move on. But some people are pleased, some people aren't. That's all I can do. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna get into spoilers now. If you don't want spoilers, if you haven't finished the series yet, it's time for you to go bye-bye. But if you don't care, or you've already read this, please come and join. So, issue 42. First off, they mention Onna Antilles, so I'm glad that the Antilles bloodline still is around. I mean, I figured it would be, but it's just cool that this descendants down, we still have a fighter pilot. There's a big battle in space as we, deal with the. I didn't know what to exactly say. Like, they were dealing with everything going on with the Empire, the Sith, and everything, and the Galactic Alliance has a battle in space. That's what a good portion of the issue is. There's also a battle with Imperial Knights. We finally find out who the traitor is in this issue. And just at the end of it, Stasi, kind of gives a line. He says, I forgive you, but you're not excused, and you will be executed for treason. I was like, oh man, that was intense. But he's like, no, I completely understand. Because the whole thing was that his family was, even though he should have known that they weren't going to, let his family be safe, but they said, we have your family. Do what you say except for the consequences. It's a lot easier to, from my perspective, like, oh yeah, don't do that. But, in a father's perspective, you might make the same choice. So, issue 43, we see that Waylon, we actually could just see Waylon dies in his, flashback. Rav has a proposal for Cade. Of course, it is just a trap planned out by Dars Maladi. And we get to issue 44. That was really it for the issue. I didn't have much more to discuss. Wayland and many converging plot points. I'm not exactly sure if at this point... it's not what happens yet. But we have Cade, we have Blue, we have Sin, of Wolf. They're all on Wayland. But we also have we have every character that we've met, basically. The Alliance, the Rowan Fell Empire, the Sith Empire, the Jedi, everything's kind of converging, and it's all just wrapping up a lot of stuff, or getting ready to wrap up a lot of stuff. Later on in the book, or in the issue, our characters on Wayland get separated. And he ends up meeting a human that was trained by, the Jedi and the Yusong Vong, as she lived on Somna Zakat. But she's been trying to find out what is causing um, the things to get worse on Wayland and what initially caused it, because they know it wasn't them. Um, but Ampa staff comes to attack Sin, and of course he does the Yusong Vong language and convinces it to be his weapon. And first off, it was just really cool to see how. I mean, I know we had Jason, but it was really he had like this special bond with them. It's really cool to see a normal person, to see like how Yusong Vong would tame one of those things and use it to his advantage, and he keeps it for like the rest of the series. So it was really cool. Um, issue 45, Melody knows the truth. At least she suspects the truth that Darth Krayt is not alive. Well, of course she's wrong, but she doesn't believe Darth Wirelock that he's just in stasis. This was interesting. I still have not read the old Marvel comic run yet. I'm excited to get to it whenever I get to it, which won't be for a while. But I think this is one of the stories that takes place after episode 6, pretty early on. It is the war. It was a small war, but it was a war against the the Nagai. I think that's how you say it. And I had no idea what Darth Nile was for the longest time. I thought he was perhaps a Yusong Vong, but I was like, he doesn't really look like a Yusong Vong. I had never read the comics, so I didn't know what they looked like. But I recognized the name because I watched Matt Wilkins, if you're watching this. I've watched his reviews at least like 3 times now, like all the way through. And I'll probably do it again when I start at the beginning, either before or after I do my reviews. I should probably do it after, just so I don't so I don't get my opinions warped or expectations warped by reading it or by watching it. But we find out that Nile is a Nagai, those bad guys from that old Marvel comic run, and I just love that they sort of used a character. I mean, I guess Zeltrons were probably, I'd imagine, introduced in that as well. But it's just cool to see like a character, because I don't think we really heard about them, at least not from any recollection I can remember, from the Bantam era novels or the Del Rey novels with New Jedi Order or anything. I don't think we got any mention of them really. So it's cool to see his race be relevant, at least him be relevant, so far in the future, and just connect all comic books and stuff together. It's just nice. Blue, and this sucked because this is not nice to witness. Just Blue gets put in an embrace. Oh right, we also find Yusong Vong, the one Yusong Vong who despised the peace that finally came. He's like, no, all those Jedi, they gotta die, they suck. And so he sides with Melody, and creates this torture thing and puts Delilah Blue in it. And then we get to issue 46, and Melody needs Cade to use the dark side, wants him to try saving her, because if he saves her, Melody knows that this weapon she's making is too weak and won't work. And but if he fails, using the full power of the dark side, then she knows that it is, successful, because it's meant to be used against the Sith. And so, but he won't give in, and he actually invades her mind, and it was a really cool scene. And she kind of runs off. But this whole time, while she's in pain, she's saying how she hates Cade and all this, stuff. But there's this whole scene where he finally does heal her, and he's talking about you have loved me through everything, when I didn't want it, when you hated to love me because stuff with Darth Talon. Just that whole section was really sweet, and they're definitely not my favorite couple or anything. There's not enough time for that to really be expanded upon because it's a comic series, but it was really sweet, and it was a really good moment, and it reminded me of the Darth Revan moment from KOTOR. I know not everyone plays the video games, but if you're doing the canon ending, which I believe is only the light side ending, that's the canon way to play the game. Bastila finds herself, ironically, turning to the dark side. After she, was complacent in your memory wipe, like a droid, and having you, fight alongside her for so long while not telling you the truth. And then she turns to the dark side. And it's not the typical way you bring somebody back to the light side. But I guess, in a sense, that is what Luke did, with saying, "There's still good in you, Father." But, Revan said, "I love you." And that's the only way to save Bastila in that game, is to say, "I love you." In a similar sense, Cade's saying all this stuff. He's saying, "This is what keeps me good. This is what keeps me right." Because he really doesn't consider himself a light side or dark side. I don't know, it's just a really, really, really cool moment in the issue. Probably my favorite part of these later issues. When Neil and Talon finally enter the stasis area for Crate, they find no body in the armor. The armor is there, but there is no body. We get to and then also this is where that was issue 46. Issue 47, everyone on Dak is dead. That's the huge thing. Everyone on Dak is now dead. And then what I write for issue 48. Issue 48, Cade is searching for the guy that is, putting toxins on all these worlds. I believe this is where the Galactic Alliance goes to retreat, and they go and hide on Utopia. If you don't know what Utopia is, it should be pretty familiar to you. That is where Obi-Wan Kenobi fought General Grievous in Episode 3, and where, when Order 66 happens, he falls into the water. It's the same planet, and it's just really cool to see that visually again. But yeah, that's where they're at. At this point, I don't exactly remember. The kiddos all blends together what the Imperial Knights are up to. But that's where I'm at. I'm sorry. I read these all back to back, so they're all blending together in my mind. But issue... right, in issue 48. I didn't mention it before, but I'm deciding to mention it now. So Aslan's suit. Sure would have been nice had this technology been around when Vader was in his suit. Because she was pretty burnt too. But basically, the last time I saw her, she was in, this Vader-looking suit. Now she has a suit on where she still is able to, have her face out and stuff, and it's kind of healed better. There's still scars all over her face, but you can see it, and it looks more comfortable, and that she's able to move around a lot better in that suit that the Imperial Knights gave her. Just wanted to mention that. The Hutt planet, I don't even necessarily know if it's a Hutt planet, but there's a Hutt spa here. And yet again, the toxins come upon the planet, and it is, devastating. And then at the very end of issue 48, we find out that Crate lives. Darth Talon finds him. Issue 49, Saya is taken to Korriban to be tortured and to get information out of her. The Hutts talk to Cade. They also want the Eisen guy who's putting all these toxins to be destroyed. And so they offer to pay Cade, even though he's already going to do it, because they want people to know that either them or their proxy in this case being Cade, is the one that delivered the killing blow, because they want revenge. And Terra's former master, issue 50 now. I'm almost done here, guys, sorry. Antares' former master killed Fel's wife. So that was interesting information to have, because we had this guy who was now Darth Havoc, but he was apparently an Imperial Knight, an alien, of course, just to show the difference between Sidious's empire and Fel's. But he, before he turned to the dark side, killed Fel's wife, which I think finally turned him over, and he joined. Though Antares really did think he was dead. Apparently he was not. But that was a nice moment for Antares, because I hadn't, I wasn't feeling him too much. I know, like, oh yeah, he really cares about the princess or whatever. Like, that's great and all, but like, I don't know. I didn't really just care for his character too much. I didn't hate it or anything. Just was kind of eh. But that was a good character moment for him, I felt. Niall finally finds Talon, starts fighters like, this is the end for you. Only to have Crate stop him and be like, yo, I know what you wanted to do. You weren't, checking for betrayal. You were checking to make sure I was dead, and if I wasn't, you were going to try to have the finishing blow. I can't blame you. That's what Sith do naturally. They think that killing me, killing the one in power, will put them up a notch. But he's like, I've been planning for this forever. I knew this would eventually happen. I'm building an army. I've got soldiers who are completely obedient. He even has one kill himself just to prove the point. Has these new ships that can apparently, destroy Star Destroyers. And tells them, and then uses the power of the Force just to have every Sith in the galaxy recognize his return. Kay does successfully kill the Izal, and stops the plague from killing Utopia, and gets a vision of him fighting Darth Krayt in one last, final, epic battle. And then darkness. Is Kay gonna die by the end of the series? I don't know. He doesn't know. All he knows is that he has one last mission to do, and that's to fight Darth Krayt again. And that is where Legacy, the comic series, officially ends. And its conclusion will be in the 6-issue series, Legacy War. So like I said, really enjoyed this series. I'm excited to see Darth Krayt be back in action, because he has been super interesting. And it's going to be super interesting going back and see him when he's younger. And just be like, oh my gosh, the man you'll become. I know the truth. But I'm really enjoying reading these. These have been an absolute blast. I have to admit, there are so much that I love about Fate of the Jedi, yet so much I just did not care for. And it was making me finally go, maybe I am fatigued. Maybe I'm getting over it. I've read, over like, however many novels I've read, and maybe I'm just getting sick of it. I don't know. Like, I'm just not enjoying it as much as other stuff. But this has reinvigorated it. I have loved it. I have loved it so much. It's been so good, and I'm excited to see what else is in store in the post-Return of the Jedi content. We're getting so officially close to just the end of the timeline. I mean, as far as, we know, unless, it ever gets continued, which I doubt. But it has been a fantastic ride, and I hope you'll join me next time as we review, not, issues 1 to 2 or something. We're just going to do, like I did for Dark Empire, the entire Legacy War storyline in one video. So I hope to see you then, and as always, may the Force be with you. Until next time.